Hey, what's up, good peoples? What's up, Facebook? Facebook, what's up, YouTube? What's going on? Welcome to episode 31. And it's a heavy topic. Of course, I don't do this alone, so let me invite you um, to let me bring my amazing panel up. First, we have the first lady of BMC, Miss Shay. Shay, what's going on, baby?
What's
Oh, look,
going on?
what's up with you? Looking good.
Well, thank you, thank you. You said let you what you say invite. I said invite introduce.
Hey, the words got twisted. Hey, we got the new man to the scene. Let's welcome Q to the show. What's
Yo,
up, man? What's going on with you?
what up, everybody?
What's
Sleepy.
going on, QJ?
What up?
Li- Listen, good peoples, we took a break last week, but we back full effect. Please be sure to share this live, guys. This is still a new channel, still a new platform. We still trying to continue to grow and get
Yeah,
people. So please support and share. This is episode 31. This is about euthanasia. If you guys don't know what it is, we will break it down shortly. But before we get into today's content, I have an icebreaker for the panel. Okay. So thinking about your five senses, that's sight,
mm-hmm.
touch,
Mm-hmm.
hearing, smell, and taste. Which one would you let go of if you had to? What's up, good peoples? What's going on? I'll kick it off. Out of the
Mm.
five senses, I mean, we need all five of them are very important. If I had to let one go, I would say taste.
You crazy.
Because I need to see. I most definitely need to hear. I have to be able to smell. And it wouldn't feel right not being able to touch. So I'm gonna say taste. I mean, maybe if I taste, I wouldn't eat a lot, and then hey, I had that Ken body. So I'm gonna go.
I thought I would probably go away with smell. I don't need to smell nothing. I don't need to smell. I'm like, I need to touch for sure. I most definitely need to taste. I need to see and I need my ears. So I'm gonna go with I need to smell because I already know everything that's if I'm losing it right now, then fine. I don't need to smell.
All right. What about you, Q?
I'm gonna go with taste.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not about to be out here stinking. Two, I need to see, I need to hear, and I need to know the texture of whatever I touch.
Most definitely. I agree. All right. Okay. So we got 2-1. All right, y'all. So this is euthanasia. What is euthanasia? Let me pull up some stuff that I gathered. Everything I put is from a reputable source, a .org or .edu. So let me pull that up. And so let's see. Let me go with okay. So euthanasia, it's the act of deliberately bringing about a death for humane reasons. So you can go about that voluntary, involuntary, or non-voluntary. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic is because it is legal in some countries, and it's legal in the U.S. in two states, Oregon and Washington, which are those are the Western states. And so basically, people who are terminally ill, say they have um, a incurable disease, they're gonna die anyway. But instead of them waiting for years and suffering, they opt to be taken out of here. Some people think it's morally wrong. I feel like that's to me. I feel like it's the same as abortion. It's your body. You have to deal with whatever you have to deal with, even if it's something that's spiritually. That's you personally have to deal with whomever you look to as your personal savior. So again, I don't think that it's an issue. Um, would it be difficult for me to accept that a relative want to opt out? Of course. But would I go as far as not, you know, wanting to, I guess, uh, partake or be a part of their decision, I wouldn't have no choice. It's the same. It's the same as a DNR. Do not resuscitate. When you put that DNR, if the person say don't do not resuscitate them, it don't matter if they code, they just gone. What are y'all perspective on euthanasia? First, let me ask you guys this: uh, have you guys even heard of it? What's up, Becca Timbe? What's up, bro? What's going on, man? What's up, everybody? What's going on? Have you guys heard about euthanasia?
I heard about it years ago, but when you actually said you wanted to talk about it, I had to refresh my memory on it. So that's I didn't know a lot about it, and I think I was kind of younger when Dr. Kevorkian was around. I remember vaguely, very vaguely, about hearing about him, but like I said, I had to be in my early teens, maybe like 10, 11, when that was going on. So I can't really say I know a lot about it. They locked him up, and that was the last I heard of it for Michigan. So,
Okay.
yeah.
What about you, Q?
It's been a while since I heard about it.
Okay.
But I have heard that people do have opt out to go about that way of doing it. Um, I do feel like people have a choice. You
Hmm.
know, I feel like different countries call it different things. In the medical field, you have something like that of that sort that
Hmm.
that helps the patient like transfer. I mean, go over to the other side. You know, depending on if they're terminally ill or how sick they are. Morphine drops. Morphine drops don't do nothing but slow the heart down. Some morphine drops slow the heart down.
Wow.
So,
So like Shay said, when we first heard about it, so here in Michigan, we had a doctor named Dr. Jack Kevorkian. Dr. Jack Kevorkian was a medical doctor,
Hmm.
and what he did, and there's a Netflix movie on him. I think it's called Jack or something. So what he did was he assisted, I guess they call it assisted suicide. He assisted terminally ill patients and ending their life sooner. These were patients who were in their sound mind. They were tired of the pain. They were tired of going through whatever they wanted to go through. And these people opted to die. And so what he did by injection, he, he gave them their wish. And so initially, I believe he was tried for murder. He did go to jail, but I think they had to release him because of some clause or something like that. But yeah, this is a real popular thing now, and you don't hear a lot about it. But there has been patients who's been on in comas for about a year or two, and so the hospital wanted to make a executive decision like, okay, now this patient, patient been here 2 years. There has not been any progress. So at this point, what do you do? And that's where it comes in place involuntarily. I mean, voluntary. That's when that come into play. And I'm gonna go through those shortly. Um, what do you guys feel about patients that's in a coma? We all have a healthcare background. I do think that sometimes it take patience some time to come around. But I think 2 years is most definitely too long to be in a coma.
Most definitely. Yeah. But it's so expensive, and you very rarely hear people staying in and being sedated for that long period of time because it's extremely
Expensive.
expensive.
Yeah.
I'm talking I mean, you are 2 years in a coma being sedated. That's a lot of money. And I
Mhm.
mean, I'm looking at over hundreds of thousands of dollars. So,
Oh no,
I
you talk
mean,
about a million. You
exactly. That's why I
million.
said over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really believe that, to me, honestly, it's somebody's personal preference. I think that the whole abortion thing is a personal preference along with this. It's a personal preference. And do I think it's do I think I would do it? I really can't say. I don't know. But at this point in my life, I really believe that there's always a chance for a turnaround. So that's all.
Okay. I respect that. I do believe that's why me personally, I think a year. Sometimes it take people 5, 6, 7 months, but after a year, I had a good friend who had surgery, and right when they had surgery, they slipped into cardiac arrest. And he was a nurse, and his family kept him on life support for about, I want to say, what, like 13 months. And it, I think it did more damage, I think more emotionally than anything, because when I used to go up there, I be thinking in my mind, I'm hearing things, or hearing like
Mm-hmm.
they doing something, or a twitch. Where your body have these natural movements, but
Mm-hmm.
his brain was dead, and it was just like, dang. Every time I come up here, it's like you setting yourself up for these
The ultimate
expectations.
failure. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that was a big thing. I believe the hospital, they had a meeting and said, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. It was no improvement whatsoever. And then you got to think about it. You in the hospital that long, other things happen. Bed sores.
Yeah.
Everything. Like Shay said, it's very expensive.
And you lose your mobility.
Yeah, for sure.
After you lay down for so long, if you tried to lay down for a whole week and not move, getting up, your legs would be like almost like
Like
noodles.
noodles,
Yeah.
for sure.
So
So
it's a difference. Becca Timbe say most commonly I've heard in association with pets, but it started becoming more popular in the last 30 years. Some people called it mercy death. Assisted suicide, that's what I was trying to remember. So
So,
yeah.
to piggyback what you guys said, so I guess there's two types: it's voluntary and involuntary.
yes.
Hmm.
So it's actually more states. So where it's considered assisted suicide is allowed.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So that's California, Colorado, Hawaii, Maine, Montana, New Jersey, Oregon, Vermont, Washington D.C., and Washington State.
Oh wow. So more states have been added.
But I really think too it's up to the person, But like you guys said, if a person is laying, you know, and we see it a lot. But everybody has a medical background where the family wants to keep the patient just alive, but we're gonna keep them on life support, and there's no brain activity. You're
Yeah.
not doing anything but causing much more damage to the
Hmm.
person. But we never put ourselves in a position to whereas, what about the person that's suffering?
I agree. That's
Which goes, yeah, but which goes into, I feel like that's why it's very important for us to have events directives and different things in place. So if something like this happens in the hospital, we know, like, hey,
what to do. And the
this is
family is not put in a place
my
where they
way.
have to make decisions, and they don't know, because that's a hard thing. If somebody come to you and say, listen, a relative just coded, in order to keep them
Yeah,
alive, we need to do this serious surgery, and you like, and they like, we need an answer from you, and you like, well, what if I say
Hmm.
yes, and
that's why.
then they mess them up, and then I say no, then what? And it's really hard, and to kind of shift the conversation over a little, this is why we have to have these conversations. Nobody want to talk about death, but it's important that we talk about our final wishes so that people know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we
I
don't talk about it.
yeah, we had a person who, not here, but we had a person, I've worked with somebody who coded, and he was a DNR. His family is like, no, bring him back, bring him back. So they, when you do a DNR, you gotta think about it. Like when they mashing on your ribs, that stuff hurt. And
Yeah.
brought him back, and he was like, "Why y'all bring me back?"
Are you serious?
Dead.
Wow.
He he was ready to. He was sick. He was terminally ill. He was like, "Why y'all bring me back?" And I think sometimes we want to take away from what the person wishes are,
And that's
But
a lawsuit too.
how were you able to? Well, I was going to say, how were you able to do that if he put on a do not resuscitate?
because sometimes everything that's in the system people don't read.
Yep, that's true. But guess
Wow,
what? If an attorney got a hold to that, that's a big lawsuit.
that's a huge lawsuit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
we should,
purpose of advance directives and all that stuff, and
Yeah,
consent forms and stuff like that. You
but
know,
we don't. I'll say us as a race, we fail in certain areas of those when it comes to certain things. And now we got our family, one half of the family, like, I don't want to see him suffering. The half the other family, like, no, we want you to work on. You know what I'm saying? So instead of us, of course, we want to don't want to talk about death, but I feel like it's important. So therefore, we can eliminate these things when
Exactly.
times, especially now, you got people shooting, you got people killing people. Like, why not just have it set up to where it's, hey, if I go into the hospital or if I go and if I'm having surgery, hey, this is what I want my wish to be.
Yeah, for sure. I had already kind of put something I had told was telling my sister. I said, if I was to ever get into an accident, right, and they tell me that I'm paralyzed. So what is okay? Quadriplegic. Okay, if I'm paralyzed from the waist down, I want to live. If I got into an accident and I think it's paraplegic when I'm paralyzed from the neck down, take me out. Do not keep me here. Do not. I mean, because you got to think about it. Now somebody have to take care of you. Taking care of a full grown person, that's a lot on somebody. Then again, you may not be moved around right. Now you got bed ulcers or you malnutrition or because people tired of taking care of you. You know, if I can't move, if I'm paralyzed from the waist down, keep me here. But if I got into an accident and the physician said he's paralyzed from the neck down, do not let me live.
That's
And all
that's
y'all here.
easier said than done, though.
No,
That's
but that's
completely
my
easier
wish
said
though,
than
because
done.
if I
I get it. I
because
get
if
it. I
yeah,
get it.
and I'll be angry. I'll be like that man. If I woke up and all I can do is do this, I'll be like, oh, okay. I'll be pissed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, cause
I
that's
get
my
it.
wish.
I get it.
Yeah. Let's see. Becca Timbe said my grandmother had cancer and Alzheimer's towards her death. She endured a lot before she died. She definitely would have been a candidate. Yeah, like I just think it's important that we talk about these things, but we don't talk about death. We don't talk about again. We talk about insurance. Do you have it? Let somebody know because if you don't, maybe people can put money up to the side. Maybe they can do this. Maybe they can do that. Um, and oh, okay, hold on. Oh, Chill One, good point. He said, "Wow, didn't this happen with Bobby Christina, where they kept her on child support for? I mean, kept her on support for a long period of time, as people
Hmm.
couldn't decide to pull the plug." Great point. Chill out. Great point. And that did happen to her.
Yeah.
Some people wanted her to keep her on. Some people wanted her to die, but that case was different because I think they said she was making progress but some people wanted to take her out. I don't know for
But
financial
I think
gain, but yeah.
when it comes to stuff like this is that we sometimes we get high hopes versus what the doctors say.
Hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm religious, so but I do believe that sometimes we have to think like, hey, this is what this is. You know, especially when a person is brain dead. Let's look at a person that's brain dead. Like they can't do anything.
Right.
You know, keep them on something. I feel like that's torture.
I agree because they're a potato.
That's it. And especially in the vegetative state. Like, why
Hmm.
would I? I wouldn't want nobody to do me like that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's torture on your mind. That's torture on your body. It's like, yeah, don't do that to me.
And if you think about it, you don't have your loved one no more. Once they brain dead, it's physically they there. I mean, they live, they breathing, but they not there.
Because there's
And
no.
I want to be gone too. Like, don't keep me here like that because again, you have to have 24-hour care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that's a lot to put on somebody. And even if they put you in a home, they don't really, in healthcare, people don't really take care of those people like that. They be having bed sores and all kind of stuff. Yeah.
But go back on what you said a few moments ago. I feel like with us being who we are as a race, we have different avenues to go. Now funeral homes are giving you payment plans.
Hmm.
Yeah, they are.
Hey, pay into this. So therefore, when the time you could pay it and have it paid off, it's in their system that it's paid off. But we don't do that. So we have gotten accustomed to GoFundMe accounts and all that stuff like that. Is like, yeah,
I agree. Chill out said that's why it makes sense to encourage people to have affairs in order, will or legally have things in order so you don't suffer and decisions don't have to be made for you. I 100% agree. I actually have I don't know. Y'all know I think I'm a kind of person where I think things out and stuff. I actually have something here in case something happened to me is signed, dated, and I just have to get it notarized. But I have everything written out because I don't want to have. It's already a burden when somebody die. You know what I mean? Then you have to have the burden of, okay, now we have to figure out where this is. Everything is organized. This is what I belong to. These are the people you contact. Do what else with the other stuff. We I agree. We have to have our affairs and things in order. Um, and so yeah. But again, I am one for, if a person uh want to go the assisted suicide route, it's their personal choice. Even though it's gonna hurt regardless. I'm gonna respect their choice because
I
I
do.
can. Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was done.
I do feel like when it comes to stuff like that, is like, of course, we're going to be hurt, but we are not in that person's shoes. Like they're laying, and depression kicks in.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can't. Yeah,
We take away from how this person. Let's use a person with cancer. When you're stage 4, then you're going through pain, your body, and there's nothing that you can like. You can say, "Oh, it's going to be
Yeah.
okay." You can say that all day, but why is they're
Yeah.
laying in the hospital bed in pain, and they're like, "Yo, like anything is better right now for me. I have to go through that." In my mindset, I know that I'm going to die.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
That's
And that was my biggest fear with my mom.
Hmm.
That although like I knew she was preparing to die. Like I knew that.
How did you know
So
that? What was? How
because
did
I
you?
felt it and I saw it.
Okay.
I saw it. It's like just seeing her every day and just her dwindling away and like it hurt me so bad when I took her to the hospital the very last time and I asked her what year was it and she knew who the president was. She knew who I was. She knew. I hated that she knew that. I wanted her actually to be not in her right mind because I knew if she knew all of that,
Yeah.
she knew that she wasn't leaving that hospital not alive. She knew it.
it.
So to be sitting there and to know that
Any day.
your time is literally at that coming and you can't do anything about it, you don't want to be there, but you're in your right mind.
Hmm.
That is such I felt so I don't know. It was like and it's even worse when you're sitting there and you can't do nothing about it. You can't give nothing. You can't help. You can't hug them enough. You can't. It's nothing you can do. You're just helpless.
Hmm.
So it's like that was the worst feeling in the world. Like the worst
It's
feeling in the
torture. Like I've had friends, and even in my own case, sometimes when you get to the end stages of um, Alzheimer's, cancer,
Yeah,
and sometimes a person, even with going through it, will fight to the end until they're like skin and bones, and it's torture on the family because it's like, just go. I don't want you to have to. I don't want to have to. I don't
yeah,
have to go through this agony. I've seen where cases where people that have been in their end stage and they've been skin and bone, and it was just like you just see their rib cage. Like, who wants to be able to live like that?
yeah.
You know, it's torture not only on them, but it's torture on you because it's like, yo,
Hell yeah.
I want you to be at peace. Like, I'm grateful that my mom went the way she went. You know, she went into the hospital. And I do believe when she went into the hospital last time, she knew she wasn't coming out. This because sometimes I feel like when you're at that point, mentally you start to prepare yourself.
And then
Yeah.
physically you give up too. You just give up. You get
My
tired of
mom
getting
fought.
poked.
I
But
know my mom fought.
yeah,
She showed.
my
Like
mom,
it was like when her pastor came to the hospital and she leaned over and told him that she loved him and that she enjoyed being a faithful servant. Like I knew before he got there. It was just the moment that I walked in that hospital and I remember turning around, looking back, and I knew that this was our last time. I felt it. It was like on my shoulders. And it's like I knew she knew because she sat there and she just had this blank look. Like she was so over it. And she just wanted us to tell her that it was okay and that she could be at peace. You know what I'm saying?
in
So
hospice,
I get it. I get it.
like my mom was a hospice nurse, and they teach
Damn.
sometimes right. So it was like a whole. There's like put her in hospice. I was like, nah, we good, because we already knew about hospice. But hospice teaches you that sometimes a parent or a family member will linger on into two things. You say that, hey, it's okay to go, or they will only linger on if someone that they will linger on when they know something not okay. So if you pay attention to a lot of stuff, a parent will only linger on if all the kids are not there. A parent is going to linger. Now until that last sibling get there and be like, "Hey, I'm here," then that's when they will take that. That's when they'll take
Yeah.
flight. But like my mom, like I knew for her, I'm like my mom did went through this phase of crying, and she would never tell me why she was crying. And to the last day, she told my sister, but then she went automatically into this sleep thing, and like she couldn't move physically, but she could hear us because when they were doing like they take you through the phase and say this is the death rattle and all that stuff. It was torture, but she could hear us because she would bite as they were cleaning her mouth. She would bite down. So what that tells me is, hey, mom, you can hear her. So I would talk to her in her ear because brain
Yep.
activity is still going. So I know that, hey, you're preparing yourself for transition. So every time I'm like, hey, mom, hey, we good. Everything is
Mm.
okay. It's okay to transition. You know what I'm saying? And keep in mind, we we're we're well. And we get irritated if we get into the hospital and the nurses come in every 15 minutes try to draw blood. Imagine how a person is if they're going through cancer and they're in pain and they're going through agony and they're depressed and they know this is their last stages of stuff like that, and
Yeah.
we want to keep them there and they like, listen, let me go.
Yeah.
I'm
Mm.
so
Yeah, that's so thinking about loved ones. If someone told you, "Hey, if I ever get to the point where I'm incapacitated, I want to um I want to go the euthanasia route." Are you going to discourage them, or would you ask why, or would you just say, "Okay"?
it depends. For me, it
You.
def-
Yeah.
eh,
Yeah.
I mean it's too much.
You don't really know what you're gonna do. You don't know that's something that you don't know what you're gonna do until you're hit with that moment. Like you could tell me all day, Sharon, if I get into a car accident and I'm paralyzed from the neck down, let me die. But until that moment comes, I can't tell you that I'm gonna abide by that because I
But
love
that's
you.
but I understand that. But if you love a person, you want to love them and make sure that they're not suffering. You know that that person would be suffering. See,
Yeah, yeah.
I think what I look at things differently when my grandmother passed.
Okay.
I remember when my grandmother passed, I had just left, and it's so weird. Like when people say they know when they're gonna die, I had went out and bought my grandmother this nightgown because she was complaining about how how the hospital gowns are. So I came up there and I vaguely remember my uncle was up there. He's now deceased. But I said, "Grandmother, I bought you something." And she said, "What?" I said, "I bought you a nice house coat." And she said, "Well, why would you buy me this? I'm not going to wear this." Well, that was her Kia saying she's not going to be here. I didn't know that. I said, "Grandma, yes, you are. You're going to wear it." And she said, "I'm not going to wear it." As soon as I got back to my desk, my phone rang. My uncle, in his voice as calm but shaky, he said, "Your grandmother just coded." I don't know what happened from there. I'd have a blur, but I do know like they had because where our hospital's at, she was in another hospital, so like my coworkers kind of like wheeled me over there. I don't know. But I'm after I realized I was getting wheeled over there, I jumped out the wheelchair, ran on the elevator, go up there. That time my family was coming into the room. Now there was mixed people that wanted to say do everything they can to save her. And I remember my uncle, but I remember that every time they tried to save my grandmother, her physical body changed. Like you said, she was already in there for fractured ribs because she had to fall down some steps. So the more that they did all that, and I know my grandma would not have wanted all that trauma. But again, you got half saying this, and you have to understand a lot of times we not thinking about the patient. We thinking about us
Yeah.
and how we feel and our emotions and where we at that point. We don't think about the person that's actually getting this stuff done. We don't do that. And so it that since that day, I'm like, nah, we really have. I'm telling you, I be on my. Listen, I be asking, please have your affairs in order, please, please. If you don't, get you something so that it makes it easier on the family. Because I just don't think it's fair. Now, if you go out and just something happen, okay, but if you have your affairs in order, guess what? The family don't have to be worrying about should we keep you alive, should you not, none of that stuff. Get your affairs in order. What's up, Rmac? Rmac said, I support it. It's not up to us to deny people their choice, especially if they're terminally ill. I 100% agree with you, bro. That's where I'm at. I support that, and I agree. Would it hurt if Shay said, hey, they only gave me a year to live, but I'm ready to go now. I'm in pain. Would that hurt? Of course. But guess
I'm gonna
what?
back, bring her back.
Mm-mm. No, and then for her to come back, you see what that man did and said, now that would have freaked me out. He would have said, why y'all bring me back? And he
He
thought
did.
he was gone.
He said, "Why you bring me back?" Like and like you said, one thing is like my grandmother is 94, so I'm pretty sure. Like she say something to this day, and my grandmother be like, "Hey, grandma, I'll talk to you tomorrow." She's the one thing she said, "If it's the Lord's will." Sometimes you just get to a point where you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. And sometimes and I don't know if Shay experienced it, and I don't know if you experienced it, KJ, but sometimes sometimes they see people that went on. Sometimes they see their mother. Sometimes they may see children that they've lost, or sometimes they may see siblings or something. That's why sometimes when they get to the end stages, you hear them calling out their name, like, "Oh, that's my mother over there." You looking over there talking about, "No, grandma, your mama passed years ago." And sometimes it's like they look there because it's like these are the people that I've missed. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah. Hmm.
And sometimes it's like this is where I want to go. I remember my uncle was sick with lung cancer. He was like, "Y'all see mama over there?" I'm like, "No, no, uncle, we don't see her over there." But he seen his mama.
Hmm.
So mentally, he like, "I want to go where my mama is." Go, forget what y'all say. I want to go where my mama is. But I will say, like, when my mom passed, what gave me reassurance is that my mother was a daddy's girl. And my grandfather passed years ago. And I'm like, my grandfather is there waiting on my mom. And my mom is probably like, "Hey, there go my daddy."
Yeah.
You know?
So I never had peace, and I still don't have peace. And I think I stay so busy. I consume myself with so much stuff because I don't really want to deal with it. So a lot of people say, well, you got to deal with it. But, even if a person has lost their mom, you can't really tell people how to deal with stuff because your relationship with your mom may have been different with my relationship with my mom.
Right.
Hmm.
So I think I could just consume myself with so much stuff because I don't really want to sit still. Like I just don't because it fucks with my mind.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to go into this depression and it's just this rabbit hole that once you start swirling in it, you in it and you stuck in it and you can't get out of it.
Yeah.
So I don't think this year is the year that I had to deal with it. I kind of don't want to deal with it.
So do you think not dealing with it and lingering it on, that you are li- not tackling it, I think is doing more damage to you, not
Well,
facing
I
it.
mean, everybody's gonna say that, but like I said, everybody has their own way of dealing with what they deal
Hmm.
with, and I think that it's important for people to allow individuals to deal with and process what they need to process when they need to process it.
But
You know,
process it the healthy way, because you can think that you're dealing with something and it may not be healthy for you. There's ways to deal with things, healthy, and there's unhealthy ways.
I totally agree with you
You
say.
know,
I agree with you say to an extent because Shay, I was just like Shay. The whole year of 2018, I was not family oriented. I didn't go do nothing family oriented. And I mean, you could say all day like, "Hey, get you a grief." Listen, I didn't want to hear that
hmm
because while everybody else like having Mother's Day with their mama, or and while everybody else experiencing holidays with their mother, bring me my mama back. Let's
yeah.
have. If you ain't having a conversation about bringing my mama back, it ain't nothing we gonna have a
I'm
conversation.
still angry. Like I'm still angry with God. I'm still angry. I
Hmm.
still have this resentment, like this overwhelming anger that I literally want to fist fight. And it's kind of like it comes in waves where I can be out with somebody and I instantly just get this urge to just literally scream. It's like I want to go in this room and I just want to scream so loud that the echo
Yeah.
just echoes off the wall just so you can get that anger out of you. I feel like I'm telling you, like it's something burning inside of me that I just want to let out like a freaking dragon because I'm so angry. You know what I'm saying? And I'm hurt and I'm frustrated. I'm confused and I don't know how to really process it. So I'm just all over the place and my brain is all over the place. And I literally have to tell myself to be like, okay, do some work or go shopping or because it's like it just eats at me. If I sit here, I can't be still. I can't be quiet because it eats at me. So I think people process stuff
Yeah,
Different.
totally
differently.
different.
And I
Yeah.
think
And
it,
it's hard.
I feel like the first year was horrible for me. It just was the first because I experienced the first for everything. Like and I was a mama's boy. But one thing I had to understand was too was like, yo, like I had to get out of that because I was losing my mind. And one thing, like you said, it varies from people to people. One thing I had to understand was me and my siblings grieved differently.
Everybody grieve differently.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yes.
Me and my we have the baby is 6 years younger than me. And I think I told you this before. We were like, hey, you got to get grief counseling. You got to do this. You got to do that. And she was like, y'all can't tell me how to grieve. And we are like, no, you need to go to grief counseling. She was like, y'all can't tell me how to grieve. And she was like, you guys are not me. And we were like, no, you got. And she was like, no, either that or I'm going to shut you out. And then so one day we talked and she was like, listen, she said, I'm young. I'm not even 30. My sister's not even 30 yet. And she was like, if I get married, daddy can't walk me down the aisle because daddy gone. If I'm
Hmm.
in the labor and delivery room, every woman's dream is to have their mother in the delivery room when their child is.
Hmm.
I don't have any of that. So again, you guys can't tell me how to grieve. You guys can grieve because you
Hmm.
guys are older. You guys have kids. You guys are doing your own. I'm not even 30 yet, and I don't have mama to talk to. I don't have daddy to lay on his lap. Like I don't have that, and we had to respect the fact. And then that was just like yo, because I grieved totally different. I didn't grieve when the situation happened because I did it. I went through the journey with my mom
Hmm.
to after the fact when everything else was done. She was like, "Listen, I done grieved from top to bottom," and she did grief counseling. She was like, "The grief counselor ain't telling me what I want to hear," but we had to respect that because mentally, that's where she was.
Yep. And people didn't understand. Like I'm telling you, I got married a couple years back, and I married this lady who I absolutely did not love. I didn't. I was not in love with her. I loved her, but I wasn't in love with her. And she was a very mean person to me. And Kevin and everybody, all my friends, they just could not believe I was marrying this lady. And I had the experience that your sister didn't have. I had the experience of my mom walking down the aisle as the mother of the bride. I had her in my room with me. I had her help me put my gown on and my makeup and dry my tears and all that. And I never knew if my mom would have ever come to a same sex wedding because she was a missionary. So for me to be able to experience that, God gave me peace to know that my mom would have supported me
Hmm.
regardless.
Hmm.
So that was my peace. That was the whole reason for that wedding wasn't about me. It was a confirmation that my mom would have supported me regardless of who I married, girl or guy. So I was very happy about that.
Can we read the comments?
Yes. Chill said, I can say I'm still grieving on my dad based on how he died and the two deaths that followed after that. It was a lot. I have read books and had to find ways to myself to process through. Chill said, I agree. Rebecca Timbe doesn't have to be anyone's business. And he said, period. I have to agree. I didn't realize that People process things differently.
Mhm.
The way I process things is I'm very business oriented. So prime example, when my grandmother died, before she died, she had custody of my niece. She raised my niece. I had to take on that responsibility because when my grandmother was laying in the hospital, she said, "Protect our baby." So I, and it was not easy. My niece was 25, but she was cognitively impaired, so she functioned as if she was 10. Well, at that point, dealing with my niece, trying to make sure that I was doing everything I can, and also having a sister, her mom, who was um she was sick. She was sick from substance abuse. So dealing with my niece, trying to provide something from her, and dealing with a sister who was fighting against me. All this stuff was new. Like my niece was a grown woman, but I don't know nothing about buying pads. I had to learn that stuff. I had to learn how to buy pads. I had to learn different things, and make sure that she was okay. She was still staying with my uncle. Then fast forward years later, the house catch fire, killing her and my uncle. So now I already felt like I failed because I couldn't protect my niece. Like her last words, and we even had it in the obituary. That night, she was getting her hair done. I said, "Let Uncle know. Send me a picture how your hair look." Well, guess what? She sent and said, they said, "What's up, Mike and Ginger? What's up, Truth Ball?" um, she, that night before the fire, she said, "I love you to infinity and beyond." Those was the last words she said.
Wow.
So the house caught fire. Um, Somebody deliberately set the house on fire, from what we know, killing my uncle and my niece. So now I'm trying to grieve two people. I'm trying to grieve two people. Also, the weight on my shoulders. I'm still have to meander through, not knowing that I'm still in a depression state with my grandmother. I'm going to work still, smiling, traveling, but I'm still depressed. You
Yeah.
know, this is how people, just trying to break down how people do things differently. 2 years later, 3 years later, my sister died. My niece's mom, right? A year later, my niece died. 26 years old, died. And now these deaths are not planned deaths. These are something that happened. So every
Mhm.
time I think, okay, I'm closing up something, it just opens back up. And then me,
Yeah.
I'm the business oriented one. I have to keep stuff going. I have to keep shit going. I'm trying to find the root and the cause and trying to put stuff together. You know what I mean? So I get it that grieving takes its time, but for me, it's about your sanity. You know what I mean? And sometimes I feel like we can give so much of our to people, and we don't give enough for ourselves. And my grieving is differently. I again, you know, I think I've lost so much and lost so many people that I'm numb to it.
You
So
become,
when you, yeah,
yeah.
it's like when you tell me somebody died, it may not hit me to maybe 2 days because I'm just numb to it. I mean, and it's like people that died has all been like people that's instrumental, like my parents, my grandparents,
Yeah.
my uncle that I was the only male. My dad, well, he's like my grandfather died, but he was the only father figure that I had. And then you have like my sister, then my nieces, my siblings' children. Like these are people that's my aunt. Then my aunt died. It was just like death, 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 death. That's why
Yeah.
every graduation has always been bittersweet. Every time I graduated, somebody died.
But I think
I never really even celebrated any of my degrees. I've got three, and every three, something tragically happened. So I've never really celebrated that.
but I think you get like immune. Like honestly, after losing my mom, if somebody called me to the day and be like, "Hey, somebody died," I'd be like, "All right." I'll probably be like, "Dag," but
Hmm.
it didn't affect me as much as when my mom died. Now I had a conversation with I talked to my aunt Loss will occur. How would you address it? Either way makes you stronger or torment you. It's up to you to take the opportunity to care enough for your own heart to get your healing and handle your grief. I totally agree. I was talking to my aunt, and we went through a phase, and I think I was maybe 12 then, and I actually talked to her to gain strength
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
my aunt is a psychologist, and she lost my cousins and my uncle all at one time.
Yeah. Yeah.
A guy who wasn't supposed to be driving had a seizure behind the wheel.
Oh wow.
Seizure behind the wheel and hit a car at I think 60 or 70 miles an hour, and the car that he hit flipped on top of my uncle's car, killing all the boys and killing her husband, killing my
Oh
uncle.
my god.
She's a psychologist, and she drove past the accident because she had a client, and they brought her back like, "Hey, we need you to identify." And she one thing she told me, she said, "Even Superman has a kryptonite." And she said, "How do you?" She said, and I think one the day they did the funeral was on one of the boys' birthday. So the caskets had basketballs and all that stuff up leaned up to it. And she said, so she said a month before they died, she said the youngest one was Matthew, and she said, "Mommy, do they celebrate birthdays in heaven?" And she was like,
Mm,
"Yeah." She was like, "Well, Mommy, if I go to heaven, would you cry?" She was like, "Yes, Matthew, I will cry because you're my baby." And she said it took her back to that conversation. And she said,
Wow. He was preparing her.
my uncle was a pastor, and she was like, she said, "Imagine when you have to tell God, I don't want to forgive the person who killed my family." She said, "Imagine you have to question God, like, Lord, you couldn't spare one of my kids. You
yeah.
killed, he killed all my kids and my husband, and I got to sit in the courtroom and say, I forgive you." She said, "Because if I didn't," she said, "I was killing myself." And she said, "I knew I had much more life to live." She said, "I can't go into my house." She said, "I had somebody clean out the house." She said, "Because I could never step foot back into the house and see that
Yeah.
I can't walk into my boys' room and my boys are going to be there. I can't sleep in the same bed and knowing that my husband and my sons are gone.
Yeah.
Ain't no more holiday is going to be the same. Can't nobody
Mm.
tell me, hey, it's going to be okay." And it's funny that you said that about your grandmother, because it was my grandmother still living. And I had to understand, as we were going through the phases, me and my grandmother stayed into like little debates and arguments about decisions. I was coming from a son's aspect of it.
And she
She's
would
coming
tell
from a
me.
mother.
And she is coming from a mother who's a nurturer. Like, this
Yeah.
is who I carry, and this is what I feel deep.
So
And
it's
I'm,
the same valid points, but two different perspectives.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
My mom, I have three sisters and two brothers. And we all grieved different, but we all had a different relationship with my mom. And before I even, she hid that she was sick from me because I'm the crybaby. So I'm the middle kid. I split the four and the four. I split the kids up, and I remember I was going out of town literally every other weekend the year that she finally told me that she was sick. And I remember taking her out to eat that July, and we were sitting at the table, and normally we'll go out to eat and have lunch together, and she didn't eat any of her food, and she kind of took the fork and was kind of spreading it out in the plate, I guess trying to throw me off or something, not make me notice that she didn't eat any of her food.
Mm-hmm.
And after everything was said and done, and she finally came out and told me that she was sick, I realized all of the events where we went to get coffee and she threw her whole coffee in the garbage. And I'm thinking, like, you didn't like your coffee? And she was like, yeah, I just ate earlier. Or I'm like, you didn't like your food? And she's like, yeah, I ate earlier, but she had stomach cancer. So she couldn't really eat. You know what I'm saying? And it just kind of like made me feel even worse that I was like, Ma, you wasted food, or you wasted my $6 on that, Starbucks coffee. But it's just crazy how stuff happens, and then you reflect back on it after everything's over with. You know
So
what I'm saying? You
why do
on mute. What'd you
oh,
say?
you hear me?
Okay, hear you. I'm sorry.
I One of my biggest questions have always been, since losing my mom, why do you think they don't tell us at first and they wait?
Well, nobody told me. My All my sisters and my mom knew except for me, because I am like, I have really bad anxiety, extremely bad anxiety. And I would literally pass the hell out. Like, I damn near fainted. I don't even know. I think I may have fainted at my mom's funeral. Like, it was extremely bad. So my mom doesn't. She never told me stuff. She always hid it from me. My sisters always hid it from me because I have extremely bad anxiety. So, and then I was really, I mean, my all my family was really close to my mom. My mom was literally my friend. Like, she was my friend. You know what I'm saying? Where we would go hang out and go get coffee and all that good stuff. So I took it pretty hard, and I still am.
I think I
So
was the one out of all my siblings. Like, but I think the thing about it, like, I think when losing my mom, like when she took her last breath, I was the only one there out of my siblings. Like planning the arrangements, I was there, but everybody else was grieving. But that after effect, oh, that after effect when it hit, I was like, lady, you left me. like,
Yeah, yeah.
like,
You go
lady,
through.
you
I
left
gotta
me.
grab my charger from my computer. It's 6% on it. So I'm
Okay.
gonna step away for a second.
Okay. Yeah, it's like you go through you. I mean, you go through different phases in with death. Like my mom's funeral was on my 10th birthday, my 11th birthday. Like her birthday July 17th, she passed July 18th. My birthday July 24th. So, but I had questions, as a young man because I did not have the best relationship with my mom at that age. But my younger brother was my mom's. That was like her ace boon coon. That was her baby, which she loved both of us, but she was extremely close. My younger brother and I, we had a different relationship with mom. My siblings are much older than I. Like my siblings, like 15, 13, and 10 years older than us. So they was already pretty much grown. We were still young, but I had questions. You go through that all of these different emotions and things. I think my biggest during my grieving process was not being able to express how I felt, uh, to not be able to get the questions that I had answered. Those were like my grieving things. To hey, let me ask this question and get an answer. Well, guess what? I can no longer get an answer.
Yeah.
And I think I've shared this story before. The only way that I've had peace, I went to counseling. So I remember one day my sister had like this brown, and my sister probably lost it because she don't keep up with stuff like that. But I remember my mom had this brown little like bag with all her papers, and in this brown bag she had this purse. And I think I asked my sister for it to let me look into it. So I'm looking into it. I open it up, and instantly I smell, like my
That
mom didn't
wrong.
wear makeup, but she wore lipstick, and I could smell lipstick, and you could just smell it. But it was a different feeling. It was like a more comforting. So I'm rummaging through the thing. I see like her, cards and stuff like that, and then I see like this paper folded up, and in this letter, and I don't know if my sister still have it, but in this letter, she talks about how she loved her children and how she loved me, my brother, my siblings, but we were the youngest ones and stuff. That's how I actually got comfort. In addition to years of therapy, like I never even told my family that I went to therapy. I went on my own because I knew that I was on a path of destruction. I knew that had I continued to have the anger and the animosity and the hostility that I had within myself, that I was going to be an individual that I didn't like. Because growing up, my sister said I was hell on wheels. Well, guess what? That was going to be the making of an adult man. I knew I had to do something for myself. I've never been one of those type of people to play victim. I never play victim. You have an issue, you need to get help. And I personally did that. When I got my first job that paid me benefits, I actually went and I talked to someone. I talked to someone. Um, I talked to someone on my own. Nobody told me that. But I did that for myself because I knew I was on a path of destruction.
Hmm.
And so, I tell people and sometimes I can come off hard, but I'm just no nonsense because I feel like if you have an issue, work on it, or try to find ways. Don't, if you have an issue, don't just say this is me. No, it's not you. It's not right. What are you going to do to be better? Some people like to be in this victim sense or this
Yeah.
victim role, because guess what? When you're a victim, there's no accountability.
But it only
You
that
have to have accountability. Go
I
ahead.
think that lasts but so long. You know,
Yeah.
um, like for a month straight after my mom passed, like I wasn't like my mom died on a Sunday at 9:42. So guess what I would do at 9:42 every Sunday? I would stay in the bed. I would not get out the bed, lay in the bed, laying in at, and I'm like, whoa. My cousin said, "Hey, you never want to put yourself so deep in the pit that it's hard to get yourself out of."
Yep.
And
Yep.
I had to change my mindset because I'm like, wait a minute, where's all my mom instilled in me? Where's, hey, at the end of the day, you need to do what you need to do. And I think what gave me peace about the situation was that everything that she instilled in me, like I carry, like, be a hard worker. When you at work, just don't be hee hee and ha ha with people on your level. You talk to the people that's higher than you. That you strive for greatness. So it's like, and I also have to understand too is that she wasn't given to me to have. It's so much. We see everybody else pass away, but then we don't think that it's gonna hit our camp. Oh,
Yeah.
it's going to hit our camp some way somehow. Don't know when, and
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
how it's going to hit it. And I think a lot of times we sweep it up under the rug of counseling and therapy, and that's what that's what legit helped me, because I had to come. I was, like Shay said, I was staying busy. I was, the day after we buried my mama, I went to work because I was like, my mama ain't dead. She can't be. I went to work. And so one day I was at work and it just came out of the wave came out of nowhere. And I was just on my desk, like bawling. Lady, you left me. And I feel like if we address these things in counseling and stuff, we wouldn't have so many people want to commit suicide. We wouldn't have so many people, taking different avenues out of drugs and, sex and all this other stuff like that. I feel like it's very important because the thing is, grief will have you messed up.
It will have you, yeah, and it plays trick, it plays mind games on you. You know what I mean? It plays mind games, and this is why what prompted me to do the whole podcast thing is because we don't talk about stuff in our community. We taught, to sweep stuff under the rug. I'm the kind of person, I like to hit the nail on the head. Even though it may be uncomfortable for me, it's important that we talk about it, because when you don't talk about it, what happens?
You it,
You're
it,
using things to cope. You're using substances. You're using other things, and then now you're digging yourself down another rabbit hole because you got this one, but because you're doing drugs and you're drinking, now you're digging another hole. Then that's going to leave you down something else. All you're doing is using temporary things. So I don't like temporary fixes. I like permanent fixes. Let's find a way to get to this issue. Let's. I don't like putting band-aids on things. Let's suture it up.
yeah,
That way we know it's going to be permanently closed. You put a band-aid on it, yeah, stop bleeding. But guess what? When you take the band-aid off, it's
it's still
open.
gonna be, yeah.
Yeah.
And life is funny. My mom was a vet, and I remember sitting in the hospital. I said I could never. I don't care what nobody said. I said I would never work at the VA hospital. I can't. Like the hospital she died at, I was like, I could never. Like just going by there, I'll just. And guess what I work at? So they put you in a phase of like even with working here when they train you, whatever. It's a portion of the training where they talk about how they salute they salute vets when they pass away. They put the flag over it, and I sat there and I just bawled while I'm watching this video because I'm like, it took me back to the day my mom passed. I'm like, y'all put the flag over, and this is what y'all do, and then this is what y'all do. Life has a sense of humor, and I mean to this day, I don't know if you, in KJ, I don't know if you still like, I still hear my mom's voice like, don't do this. This is what you do. Don't do this. Like my mom was a nurse, and one thing my mother never played was people washing their hands at her kitchen sink. It was a no. It's a bathroom, but don't wash your hands in my kitchen sink. And as I'm in the field, and majority of my siblings are in the medical field too, we call each other, we laugh. I'm like, hey, did you hear mama's voice today? Be like, yeah, mommy said don't do this because her job was her passion. It just wasn't a job. And that's how I look at it.
I think I know one thing that my mom, one thing I can say that she was extremely clean. She was very meticulous about cleanliness, and I know that I got that from that her. You can ask Shay. Like my place is a immaculate. I she don't play with that. She didn't play with hygiene and nothing like that. So I get that. That's something that I know that we shared. I can correlate. Like, okay, well, this came from my mom because I know she didn't play when it came, when it came to our hygiene and things like that. But yeah, so the conversation kind of shifted, but everything that we talk about is things that need to be talked about.
Yep.
Just talking about this can maybe help you and help one each one of us in a way. Maybe it didn't fully help us, but it allow us to talk and allow us to be open and candid. You know what I mean? And you know, it is at the end of the show, and that went fast. But what I do want to say, because we always leave something with the people, please, y'all, make sure that your affairs are in order. It does not take a lot of money to get an insurance policy. They have term life, which is cheaper, and whole life. Do not leave the burden on your family. If you need help or if you don't know who to call, inbox me, DM. I can give you a list of companies that can call. They do not do um, medical exams, but you need to have your affairs in order. I just don't think it's fair for a person to leave and leave this burden of having to bury you on family. I do not like that. So if you need help, just please get your affairs in order. Write out a will, or write out a statement. What you want. Take it to your local UPS store or FedEx store, have it notarized because that's just as what a lot of people don't know. That's just as important as having a will because it's notarized. Put that document maybe in a safe or in an important place so that if something happened to you, your wishes can be fulfilled. So please, guys, make sure you taking taking care of your business. And if you can't do it, you may have a relative that don't mind doing it for you. Let that relative know, like, look, hey, I don't have this. If something happened to me, I want something to be taken care of. Can you assist me? And most families gonna say yes. They're not gonna not. That's something important. Let a person know because you don't want to burden a family when they're already in this um, traumatic state. You know, very tumultuous state. So have your affairs in order, people. That's what I'm gonna leave them off with. Q, what you gonna leave them with?
Mine will be every new level that you encounter, you will embark on a storm. Learn to simply dance in the rain. It's okay not to be strong because even Superman had a kryptonite.
Hey, I like that. Go ahead, First Lady. Take us away.
um, Never regret a day in life. Good days give happiness. Bad days give experience. The worst days give lessons, and the best days give memories.
Wow.
Yeah.
Y'all sure y'all ain't no pastors and ministers? I forgot you born in, Shay. So you say you gotta. So listen, guys. I want to appreciate all of you guys. You
We do.
guys don't know we greatly appreciate you guys for
Yeah.
tuning in with us on Wednesdays at 8:30. We can't do this without you guys. I do have some shirts made, so hopefully by the next show we can all have our shirts on, and they will be for purchase: shirts, mugs, and hats.
And glass,
So,
because we're gonna have some wine glasses for me. But keep going.
and also too, I want, because I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm gonna do a giveaway. I don't know what show I'm gonna do a giveaway, but I want to do a giveaway because I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna talk amongst the panel, and I want to give back because you guys support me, and I want to give you guys. So I'm thinking about doing what, $100 giveaway. I, maybe more. I don't know, but I appreciate you guys. I do want to do a giveaway because I appreciate you guys. I know, bro, I was late, technical difficulties, but I appreciate you, man. I love you, and I greatly appreciate you
Makeup.
guys.
Tell them you
Don't
with the hair and makeup. Okay.
You're crazy. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're on Facebook, share away. Share, 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 share. I love you guys. Until next time, stay safe, be blessed, and we'll see you if it's God's
Peace.
willing. Peace. We out. Make sure y'all share this, y'all. Don't forget, share, share, share.